Hello, folks. Hope you're doing all right. I always say that, don't I?
Hope you're doing all right.
I mean it. I hope people are doing okay.
You know, as long as it's sincere and it comes
is
from
sincere.
your heart,
Yeah.
then I think it has meaning. I mean, if it just, but I mean, when you come to the doctor's office, I say, how you doing?
Yeah.
Well, they came to me because they're not doing well in one or more things
Right.
most of the time. So it's sort of silly, but it's a greeting. We all know what the greeting is.
I do hope you're
so
doing all
hope
right.
you're doing all right. So go ahead. Say it. Do it again.
So-
do it, but do it with spirit. Okay.
Hello, folks. I sincerely hope you're doing okay. Welcome to Stay Well with Dr. Zorba Pastor. That's you. That was sincere, wasn't it? I feel like it was.
I think it was over the top. It was over
Too
the top.
sincere. I'm Carl
Ultra
Christensen.
sincere, obsequious sincere.
I'm here with the one and only Dr. Zorba Pastor.
That's right.
The
I always say
legend.
that's me, but it's true.
It is him.
It is true.
Let's talk about our big show today. We're going to look at some new research on cancer treatments.
Right.
And
when
how-
you get it, may make a difference.
That's interesting. How well it works depends on the timing of
of the
it.
day.
Yeah. Zorba will pick up the old hotline telephone and help out a caller. We'll get some listener emails and a voicemail. We're going to hear from the pesky grammar cops, and my mom's going to get in one of her mom jokes. And Zorba, this joke involves wizards. Are you into wizard jokes?
Well, I'm into wizards. I was
Okay.
into wizards when I was a kid. I like wizards.
Good.
Yeah,
You're
I
going to
like
love this
wizards.
wizard
I like
joke then.
wizards. Merlin. I like wizards. Okay, I like the wizard
All right.
joke.
The phone number to call anytime if you have a question for the good doc is 608-492-9292.
And email me at askdrzorba@gmail.com. I love to answer those emails. And of course, got a website, drzorba.org. Shock, my name, drzorba.org.
All right, let's get right into this, Zorba. New research shows the time of day you get cancer treatment may affect how well it works.
Well, yeah, and this is interesting research. It's provocative, it's not in a double-blind sort of, well, there'd be no placebo, but it's very interesting. So first of all, let me tell you fundamentally what's interesting. Now, there's some cancer therapies that are immunotherapies. And there are other cancer therapies that have nothing to do with immunotherapy at all. In other words, they're a really different class of drugs. So this was research that looked at immunotherapies, specifically whether or not doing it with your body's circadian rhythm would make a difference, and whether or not doing it in the morning may make a difference on what actually makes a difference. So the surprise finding was that the patients who got their first round of treatments in the morning had about 5 months before their cancers appeared to spread, in other words, malignancy. So this particular study was looking at people who had, class 3, class 4 cancers. They were not early stage cancers, they were later stage cancers. And it didn't explain in the study when I reviewed the information about it, which ones they were looking at, whether or not they were looking at melanoma, whether or not they're looking at breast cancer or colon cancer. But it's very interesting that timing of when you get it may make a difference. So if you get it in the afternoon, is your immunity different? Are you going to respond differently than you get in the morning? So a lot of cancer treatments start out at different times of the day based on when the nurses are there, the doctors are there, the therapy is actually available. And so it's an interesting thing that we have to get some more research on, whether or not that makes a difference. Now, we know, for instance, in terms of high blood pressure, that in the morning when you wake up, it's the most likely time that you're going to have a stroke or a heart attack.
Oh.
And so if you take your pill in the morning, you have a 24-hour pill. If the pill starts to lose for high blood pressure, its effectiveness when you're waking up in the morning, does that make a difference? And so should you take your pill at night? So when you wake up in the morning, that pill is still full-blown. So that's a very good question, because you've got to take your pills roughly once a day when it comes to things like high blood pressure if it's a 24-hour pill. So we know that, for instance, for blood pressure, it can make a difference. Does it make a difference in cancer therapy? So I think this is a provocative study that shows that paying attention to the circadian rhythm may make a difference in terms of your treatment.
Do you think anyone, so let's say someone's listening who's getting cancer treatment right now, is this enough of a substantial study where they should maybe talk to their doctor about timing of these treatments, or is there still...
Well, first of all, I think it's important to begin to bring this up.
Okay.
And I think you're 100% correct. So does the timing make a difference? This particular study, it showed that morning time made a difference. But I think discussing it with your oncologist does make a difference. And then looking at that research and then looking forward. Because once again, this is a preliminary study. It's the very beginning. And we may discover that, cancer treatments, certain cancer treatments should be given at a certain time of the day. But I think part of this is when will new information come out make a difference? Now, we physicians often use a research information in something called up-to-date. So up-to-date for me as a primary care doctor means it's been reviewed, and that particular research, it costs $300 to $400 a year unless you're in a group that actually pays for it. But the research has to have been studied for a year. It has to have been reviewed roughly every 6 months, tells you when it was out, when it was reviewed. And so if an oncologist is looking at this, if it's not an up-to-date, that means it may not have been reviewed. Just because the research has been published doesn't mean it's good. You also want to know what good researchers might look at and say, yes, this is really important. We should start to look at it further. So the answer is yes. You should, if you have cancer, you should discuss the timing of when you get your cancer therapy with your oncologist, because among other things, you're going to keep them on their toes. Maybe they didn't look at the study. Maybe they didn't think about the study. Maybe they did look at the study, but they haven't researched it even more. And maybe that'll make a difference in your lifespan. Because remember, the cancer, when you're taking cancer therapy, you want the best therapy from the best oncologist delivered in the best way.
If you have a question for the good doc, you can call this number anytime. This is our hotline. That's 608-492-9292.
And email us at askdrzorba@gmail.com. You just have to be able to spell the word ask, doctor, and Zorba.
That's easy.
And Gmail. Everyone knows Gmail.
Yeah.
I mean, they teach that in kindergarten now. That's what they do.
They hand you a Gmail right away in kindergarten?
Right. Of course. In kindergarten, they get their Gmail account right away. You didn't know that?
No, it's standard issue.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
standard issue.
There you
get
go.
a Gmail account with a phone in kindergarten. But that would be terrible, wouldn't it?
I hope not.
Yeah. Addict them in kindergarten.
Yeah.
No, you would not allow
I would not
that.
allow that.
That's
No.
right. Put your phone down and listen to us on your podcast through your phone. No, I don't think
I don't know how that works. Let's go to the phones now. Let's try to help out a caller from Silver Bay, Minnesota. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
I am doing good, but I have a burning question about vitamin D and living so far north
Yeah, right.
of
right.
Lake Superior and in the rural area.
So you're right near Lake Superior? Are you near Ashland, Wisconsin, or where are you near, by the way?
I am across that pond. I am more like Lutsen.
Lutsen.
To Harbor.
Lutsen.
Yeah,
Way up there.
Lutsen.
I have never skied in Lutsen. One of the places
it's
I want to
beautiful.
get to.
Yeah.
You've skied in
I had
Lutsen.
when I was in high school. My parents took a trip there. It was beautiful.
Yeah. I've heard Lutsen is great to ski. So,
is great.
So you've got some vitamin D question. By the way, it's a great question. If you want to get enough vitamin D from the sun in January, you have to walk outside, bare your chest completely, and stay outside for about 30 minutes
what?
at noon.
Okay.
And that is the only way that you're
I
going
didn't
to
expect
get
it to go there.
enough vitamin D. You didn't expect it to go there, right?
I know, and then I would be needed to be treated for frostbite.
That's right, exactly. Or dementia, or something like that.
yeah.
Oh my God, she's outside there. That's exactly it. Well, first of all, going back to vitamin D, one of the main issues with vitamin D that we don't see anymore is rickets. So that was vitamin D in children as they develop. And the way that they actually were able to take care of that was to put vitamin D in milk. So vitamin D is put in milk. Kids eat milk. They got rid of rickets. So that's one end of the scale. We don't see rickets anymore. We don't see it. Sometimes there are people who, engage in unusual behavior with their children and don't have any vitamin D products, but we don't see it. But as adults, vitamin D, and specifically vitamin D3, which is what you see when you buy vitamins, can be very important in the prevention of osteoporosis, but also good health. So do you take a vitamin D capsule? I mean, because it's a liquid. Do you take a capsule tablet?
Yeah, I do.
What do you? How much?
I have been. I've been recommended to take 2,000 international units,
Right.
1 tablet daily, and I do have osteopenia, so I
So you
have
do.
beginning.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about osteopenia, which is kind of interesting. Many people who have osteopenia, and there are more women than men usually, and more white women than black women, because African Americans do not have the same prevalence of osteoporosis as Caucasians.
Okay.
So that's an important point. But osteopenia often never goes into osteoporosis if you take the right action, which is exercise, vitamin D, and some calcium. So you're taking 2,000 international units, which is really, really good. How about calcium?
I do take a 600 milligram tablet calcium daily as well.
Excellent. How about calcium-containing food? Yogurt, ice cream?
Yeah, I'm trying to watch my little girlish figure, so trying to stay away from ice cream.
Yeah, that's right.
But I do drink probably 1 glass of milk a day, and sometimes I have cottage cheese. But I mean, except for breakfast, I think that is the only time I really get any extra vitamin D from food or calcium from food.
First of all, getting elemental calcium through a tablet, like you said, 600, 700, 1,000 milligrams a day, any of those are good. But I also recommend you try to get 400 milligrams a day from either a small container of cottage cheese. And I like my cottage cheese in individual containers because it seems to stay fresher. The whey doesn't seem to come to the surface, and I kind of like it better. Or a container of yogurt, and it can be unsweetened yogurt. Doesn't have to have yogurt that's sweetened, full fat, because I believe that the fat is good for us. I think that's okay. Full fat, unsweetened yogurt, a couple of scoops or a small container will be about 100, roughly about 100 calories. That's not very much at all.
No.
Or if you're a vegan from other things, I recommend a little bit also from food, because I think it makes a difference there. So I would pump that up a little bit. And then what kind of exercise do you get?
Well, I do mostly walking. Had some ankle issues. I can't really run anymore. So it is walking either on a treadmill or going out in the forest.
So you were a runner. How long were you a runner for?
Oh, I think not anymore. Maybe 5 years. I did a couple of 5Ks. I never really did anything more than that, but I found it fun until I really twisted my ankle bad.
I can relate to that.
Those days are gone.
I can relate to that. Carl, do you run?
I have in the past. I've never liked running that much.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
your
know.
wife does.
She doesn't run that much either.
She doesn't run that much either.
I play more sports. I mean, basketball, tennis, stuff like that.
But
Biking. I just don't run much.
So biking is really good. Biking is good for the ankles, good for the knees, doesn't bother you, builds up strength in the quads, which are good. Running, I used to run at a young age, but I found it kind of boring. I ran. I actually ran. I'm old. I ran before they invented the Walkman. So I only had my own thoughts. Yeah. There was nothing there were no portable radios. There were no Walkman. In fact, I'm so old that I ran when people didn't even engage in language.
Oh, wow. That's old.
Talk. I mean, I'm a hominid, I'm a Homo erectus. That's what I'm last of the vestige. But what happens is people, especially who are runners or joggers, as they got older, realize they're not good for the joints. Walking is great. Anything that moves your body is great. So 2,000 international units, perfect. People do not have to go get a vitamin D test. Just take 2,000 units. Like you say, elemental calcium, a bit of food, and then exercise. And you probably, if you do this, probably will never develop osteopenia into osteoporosis. That's right.
Okay, that's awesome. I wasn't sure if the 600 milligrams of calcium was enough. I didn't know if I needed to take any more.
When I take my calcium, I bump it up to 1,000. I take 1 ton that's 1,000 milligrams, and then I'm done with it. And often, I vary between. There are tums that sort of taste like chalk, and then there are tums that taste like candy, and they are candy. They're like 5 calories, or 10 calories. And I love the fact that you want to keep your girlish figure, but you are right, because once you step into the state of Wisconsin or Minnesota, you immediately get 10 pounds. That's one of the benefits.
That's how it works.
They don't just give you an income tax refund. They give you 10 pounds all gratis. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, did you know that?
I didn't. I'm learning
You
a
didn't
lot
know-
today.
Yeah, 10 pounds. Yeah, you get 10
Okay.
pounds. It's in the air. Obesity. Yeah,
It's
in
for
the
there.
air.
That's funny.
There.
Yeah.
So thank
Yeah.
you so much for listening to the podcast. And
Thank you so much. And I will refrain from going outside for 30 minutes with a bare chest.
I'm
when
doing
it's
your
done.
chest. I got it. So thanks. Thanks a lot. You take care.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for that call at 608-492-9292.
And email us at askdrzorba@gmail.com. I love answering emails.
All right, Zorba, let's take a listener question, one of those emails. This is from Hillary, who writes, Hi, Dr. Zorba. I'm a huge fan of your show.
Thank
you.
Oh,
Look
me?
at that.
I like
Not
it.
just the show.
I
Fan
like
of you.
it. A little
That's
personal
nice.
shout out.
Very nice.
That's right.
Hillary says, I have a follow-up question from your recent show about the study that found that the shingles vaccine decreases a risk for dementia. You mentioned that it compared 79-year-old to 80-year-olds. What age should they get the vaccine at? She goes on, I'm 45 and had a case of shingles on my face last summer, so I'm anxiously counting down the days until I turn 50 and can get my first dose of Shingrix. I'm curious if getting my series at age 50 could offer the protection against dementia that was found in the study you presented.
Well, first of all, the study was one study.
Okay.
So one study does not make science. So does it decrease dementia? I don't know, maybe.
Another
But
preliminary study, right?
Certainly it that's right, another preliminary study. Certainly it decreases the risk of getting shingles, which nobody wants to have. So you've had shingles once, as you said, at the age of 50, you can get the shingles vaccine. But you can also talk to your clinician about finding out with your insurance company whether or not you can get the shingles vaccine sooner, which is what I would recommend. And you can do an application to the insurance company. They may or may not cover it. If they cover it, I would do it because that's going to boost your immunity. Basically, if you got shingles, that means you got chickenpox earlier on and your immunity dropped. So I would say, apply to the insurance company and see if they'll cover it and get it as soon as you can. If not, on your 50th birthday, go to your clinician, get your shingles shot.
Nothing like a shot on your birthday.
That's right.
Huh?
Not on your birthday, but the next day. And the Shingrix, which is the 2-shot vaccine, is in the 90-95%. Better than the Merck vaccine. That was the first one that came out, which was more in the 60 to 70% reduction in getting shingles. But the Shingrix made by GSK, and by the way, I do not own stock in GSK.
I thought you were going to say, I do not own GSK.
Wow, I do not own GSK. If I owned GSK, wow, I'd be sitting pretty.
You wouldn't be in my studio doing the podcast right now, I feel like.
Well, I might.
Maybe.
I might.
Yeah,
Come
you're a
on.
good guy. You might stick
the
with
podcast,
it.
this is something money can't buy, man.
That's true. That's true. Have a healthy living question for Zorba. You can email us at askdrzorba@gmail.com or call the show anytime at 608-492-9292.
Okay, Carol, we talk about how much we both love coffee, and it doesn't hurt that there are health benefits to drinking coffee as well, which is why we're partnering with Just Coffee Cooperative on this podcast.
Just Coffee Cooperative is committed to transparency with their online coffee tracker. You enter the code on your coffee bag, and it tells you the country of origin, the roast type, the roast date, how much per pound was paid to the grower, and you can even view the contract under which the green coffee was purchased.
And guess what, listeners? If you use the code ZORBA10, you'll get 10% off your entire order on their website, www.justcoffee.coop. Just Coffee Cooperative, justice from the grounds up.
All right, Zorba. You know my mom. You've met her a couple times over
I
the
did.
years.
I did.
Yeah.
I
But
did.
you know from
A
this
lovely
podcast.
woman.
Yeah, a lovely woman.
With a
She's
sense
great.
of humor.
With a great sense of humor.
That's
Thanks for setting this up for
Yeah,
me.
with a
'cause I
sense
don't-
of humor.
She does mom
That's right.
jokes. They're not
Yes.
like dad jokes.
Yes,
They're even
no.
better.
No, with an oddball sense of humor.
Yeah.
Respectfully, oddball.
Let's-
Don't tell your mom I said oddball.
She might hear this, by the way. She
Might
won't
hear.
be offended. It'll be okay. It'll be all right. You want to hear one of
She's
her?
a jokester.
Yeah, exactly. She can
Jokesters
take a
can't
joke.
be offended
No.
by. You have to be able to take a joke. If you give a joke, you have to be able to take a joke.
Yeah.
A respectful joke.
Yeah, exactly. Let's hear one of her mom jokes.
Mom jokes.
I read that Merlin the Wizard was totally phoning it in the year or so before he died. He was just going through the potions.
Oh gosh. Oh god.
Going through the potions.
Oh god. That's right.
Phoning it
That's
in.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's pretty good, Mom.
I think it's great. She should write a book. As I said, stand-up comedy book. She should have her own blog.
She should just
podcast.
do
But you know
everything.
something? She's on here. I like
She
her
is.
mom
Yeah,
jokes.
it's great.
Do you get them once a week, or does she do them in whole bits?
She gives me batches of them.
Batches of mom
batches
jokes.
of mom jokes.
That's right. You know, some people have their moms call them. Other people have their moms. My mother would write them letter. Your mom sends you jokes.
It's the best.
That's right.
I wouldn't
That's
want it
right.
any other way.
That's right. Did she tell jokes in the middle of like dinner?
No, not really. No, it's just
She
this is
tell
a
jokes
recent thing.
When it's a recent
It's
thing.
a new thing.
So she's carried on. She's done something recent. You know, she's always wanted to be a jokester, but now
Yeah.
that there are no children in the house, she can finally reach her ultimate potential.
She's retired. You know, she was a library. She was a librarian, a teacher, elementary school
You see,
teacher.
so she's got all that punster
She's got it all
knowledge.
stored
She knows
up.
all the
Yeah.
words. She's
Yeah.
got all the words. So thank you for the joke.
Thanks, Mom. Let's do a voicemail now. You can call anytime, 608-492-9292, and leave us a voicemail if you have a question. Let's go to one of those now. This is someone from Wisconsin.
Hi, Dr. Pastor. A lot of us are aware that the CDC quietly recommended a second dose of the 25 to 26 COVID vaccine for people 65 and older. The media has been silent except for an opinion piece in the Washington Post. It's on the CDC website. People are confused. I mention it to people. They don't know about it. And I just wish that somebody would cover it. That's it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Well, first of all, as you know, there's a lot of rubbish that's coming out of Washington, right?
Yeah.
Rubbish is a good word. I've been
That is a good
thinking
word.
about the right word to use that is not emotive.
Rubbish
and I
is
think
fine.
rubbish,
Yeah.
is not emotive because once you get emotions up, then people stop listening.
Right.
You know,
It's a good point.
I mean, they put up their hackles and they go, wait a minute. You know, used a word I don't particularly, like, but rubbish is a good neutral term. So the fact that the CDC recommended a second dose, given what's going out, we know that RFK is an anti-vaxxer. I'm not stating anything, that nobody who listens to the news doesn't know.
Sure.
I mean, he's clearly, but the fact that slipped through or came through the CDC, given the fact that there's so many people have left the CDC, means that basically it's compelling. That's what it means. It's compelling. Now, what do I do? So let me tell you what I do. So once a year, I'm getting my flu shot. I'm getting my COVID shot. That's what I'm doing once a year. Now, if I had a major medical problem, I then get a booster of that COVID shot. Why? I don't want to have COVID. Now, I know people who have had COVID, doctors who've had COVID, doctors who have gotten their flu shot, and their COVID shot, who have gotten COVID and were really, really sick. And the couple of doctors that I know who got it had other medical problems that sort of predisposed them. So I think getting that second shot is a great idea. Getting the booster is a great idea, especially if you are at risk. And I think it's important to do that. Now, the other thing that's important is if you're sick, you think about it. You can go to a store, you can test yourself for your COVID, and then you can make a decision with your clinician whether or not you should actually get the treatment for COVID. And I think we have to move COVID out of the mire, the swamp that it was stuck in because of the problems that occurred with COVID-19, the rolling out and other things. And we should start to take immunizations out of the morbid category of whether or not we've got 5 or 10% of the population, it's really very small, that doesn't believe in immunizations. Then you've got probably 15 or 20% that question immunizations. They're really not sure. Those are the people who should be educated, given information about science, and then they can make a good faith decision for themselves, and most importantly, for their children. because those are the people at risk. As you know, RFK has come out and said we only need the number of immunizations that they're given in Denmark. Well, Denmark has fewer people in it than the state of Wisconsin. And 85% of the people in Denmark are basically Denmarkians and of the same German, Denmark, Scandinavian culture. So only 15% of Denmark are a different cultural heritage. Denmark has free service, medical service for people. So it's a very different country than the United States of America that has about 350 million and counting people of different ethnic backgrounds. So you can't even think about applying that to there. So I think it's important to think of our children and immunizing them, because basically our kids are basically healthier than ever children have been ever in the history of the world. And a lot of that is due to immunization. As you can see, I'm passionate towards it, because immunization is basically getting your body to take care of itself. It is much more natural. And my mother almost died of diphtheria when she was 16 years of age. When I was a child, there were lots of kids. I knew 2 kids who died of polio in our neighborhood. And I saw a number of older people who were limping around because of polio, that's around. When I was first starting practice, I had a number of young children who had meningitis and then lost IQ points significantly because they had meningitis, but because of the Hib vaccine, we don't get it. You don't get meningitis the way you used to. And then because of the hepatitis B vaccine at birth, we drop the number of children who have liver dysfunction as they become adults. We reduce the risk that they're going to get liver cancer tremendously. The anti-vaxxers have stolen the ball, and it is time for the pro-vaxxers to take it back and hit a goal. Woohoo!
All right, Zorba, let's hear from those grammar cops again. They're your favorites. You like the grammar cops?
I love them.
It used to be the grammar police.
Yeah.
Now it's the grammar cops.
Yeah.
I always bring that up. I don't know why.
Why do you always bring it up?
I don't know.
You know what? Why do you bring it up?
I shouldn't.
I
shouldn't
cop,
drag old...
You're done.
Yeah, it's
You're done.
old news.
You know
right?
what? You know what? Old news done. This is the last time you called them grammar police. Who cares that they were police versus cops? We've
so
got
much
a
more
better
formal.
song. That's right.
True,
That's right. One and done. You are done with that.
All right, let's hear that better song now.
We got a grammar situation here. Grab a cop!
Grab a cop.
Grammar!
I always sing to this because I love it.
Grab a cop!
Listeners, he's bopping his head around right now. He loves it. This is actually from the Beef Cops. I feel like we've heard from the Beef Cops.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Oh, we have.
Yeah.
From
Beef
time
Cops
to
are always
time.
kind of around.
Yeah. How about the MSG cops? I haven't heard from them in a while.
Madison Square Garden? Is that
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God.
They're
Let's
running
go
security
on.
at Madison
Let's
Square
go
Garden.
on.
The following email came from George in Wisconsin, who writes, Dr. Pastor, your articles are always self-required reading for me.
Wow. Thank
I
you.
so much appreciate the science and practice-based advice
Thank
you
you.
provide.
Thank you.
That's nice, George. I have one comment about your article about the new food pyramid. And if you want, folks, you can go see that article at drzorba.org. We've posted it there. George says, I agree with you completely that chicken is a better animal protein source than beef. And there's another reason for recommending chicken over beef. The greenhouse gas footprint, which he says.
You mean they don't fart as much?
Is that that's where your mind went right away?
Of course. Chickens have to fart. Well, every mammal farts.
True.
Right.
We all
That's
fart.
right.
Everybody
That's right. We all
farts.
fart. Everybody
Yeah.
farts. Sounds like a children's book.
Do mosquitoes fart?
Everybody
Yeah,
farts.
everybody farts.
Do mosquitoes fart? Of
Yeah,
course.
they do.
They all fart.
Ants fart?
Everybody farts.
Okay. Worms?
That's enough.
Sorry. You started this. Anyways, George says, the greenhouse gas footprint, GHG.
Are we going to have the fart police on us?
I'm sure.
Sorry.
I'm sure.
I'm sorry. I'm back in high school again.
The greenhouse gas footprint per
They're
unit
right.
of protein
Yeah.
is substantially less
Correct.
for chicken than beef.
Right.
To those of us concerned about climate change, this is important.
Right.
Several years ago in a scientific journal article, I read a meta-analysis of several research publications. It compared greenhouse gas footprint per pound of protein
Correct. Right.
of fish, poultry,
Right.
dairy, pork, beef, and others. The results were that fish grown in natural waters, poultry, and dairy had the lowest footprint.
Right.
Pork was intermediate.
Do fish fart?
You're still on farts? I bet George loves this if he's listening to his email, getting peppered with fart jokes.
Peppered with fart.
Pork was back to George's email. Pork was intermediate, so in the middle. Protein from beef had the highest footprint. I don't recall the ratios, but beef had a substantially greater footprint than chicken, dairy. Keep up the good work. What do you think?
That too. I think he's right.
Yeah, sounds like he's right.
But if I have a choice between a good steak on the grill in the summer with a beer and a chicken and boneless, skinless chicken breast, I'm going to choose the steak.
What about fried
chicken? But not
chicken,
every day.
though? Fried chicken.
Fried chicken is pretty good.
Okay.
But he brings up a point. Yeah. But for people interested in the environment, chicken is better at that.
A lower carbon footprint.
A lower carbon footprint.
Or hoof print.
Yeah.
Or wait, what do they have?
Can we
what
end
do
this
chickens
segment?
have? Claws? What are they called?
Claw
print? Okay, gotcha. Claw
print. Hoof print. Carbon footprint. Are we done with this?
I think we're
done. But the answer is, but from an environmental point of view, that is, and I've read about that. That turns out to be a big issue. Maybe one of the ways to take care of it is to sort of put some sort of a bag on the butts of cows, and then take it and store it.
You're still on the fart thing right now? Oh my gosh.
All right. Okay. Done with this.
That was
next segment.
George is going to love your response. Does Zorba need a visit from the grammar cops? Email your violation to askdrdorba@gmail.com. You can post it on our Facebook page.
I need a visit from the farting cops.
Or you can call that phone number, Zorba, right? What's that phone number?
608-492-9292. This is like Mad Magazine. What? Me worry? That's what it is. So, thank you.
All right, we got to end this one.
Yeah.
It's funny to end on a fart joke segment, but what did we learn today, Zorba? We learned
that when you get cancer therapy, that may make a difference, especially if it's immunotherapy, and discuss it with your oncologist.
Yeah.
Provocative, interesting new research. Nothing is proven, just interesting. So discuss it.
Yeah. We learned you helped out a caller with vitamin D. We learned about the shingles shot. Heard a wizard joke. You talked about the COVID vax and what's going on with the CDC.
That's right. Yeah. Things actually that the CDC may sneak through that are actually good, because there's rubbish out there, and we have to take the ball. We pro-vaxxers have to take the ball, throw it back in the court, and show the anti-vaxxers who's boss.
That's perfect. And then you peppered fart jokes all over George's email about beef's carbon footprint.
High school again.
Anyways, what can they do? What can listeners do right now?
They can call us at 608-492-9292. They can email us at askdrzorba, spell it out, @gmail.com. They can come to the website drzorba.org, and they can stay well.